proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears. Let's talk rallying, episode 24. Welcome. I'm delighted to be joined once again by Connor Edwards as my co-host. Connor, you're welcome.
Kevin, thanks a million. I'm always delighted to have any excuse to chat about a bit of rallying, so thank you.
Yeah, and we're spoiled again this weekend. Rally Estonia at the weekend was a strong event for the Irish. We think, Aaron Johnston co-driving for Takamoto, they finished 5th, keeping their championship hopes alive there. They're in the battle for 3rd place. Josh McErlean and James Fulton taking a podium in WRC2 Junior. Brilliant result there for them. And Jon Armstrong and Will Creighton in the juniors. John's keeping his championship hopes alive going into the last round. And Will also had a good event there too, coming away with 5th place and more points on the board for him. Maybe not the best event for Craig Breen and Paul Nagel. It was such an unfortunate nothing off Craig or Connor.
Look, it looked very simple. It's more that they ran wide on a corner when you watch the video, but unfortunately concrete post was hidden in the grass, broke the steering, and that was it. Once you go to Super Rally, it's game over. There really is no coming back from that to be challenging at the sharp end.
Yeah, and it's probably hard for to get the motivation back then to drive at that absolute limit then as well too. And you're having to bring points home for the team as well. Your whole priorities around the weekend change, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that, and then I suppose it becomes a bit of a test session in advance of Finland as well. So whilst they mightn't have been, setting fastest times, we're not sure what settings they would have been testing or trying out, or what they would have been doing in advance of Finland.
Absolutely. It's all about tweaking it and getting the perfect setup for Finland now in a few weeks' time too. So, we're not going to talk too much tonight because we have so many guys to fit in here. So I think without further ado, I think we'll catch up with Aaron Johnston.
So Aaron, busy weekend in Estonia, an event that hasn't really favoured Takamoto in the past. I think this was his 5th attempt at the Estonian Rally, if I'm correct, and unfortunately didn't get off to the best of starts and shakedown.
No, it definitely didn't, and yeah, I think you're correct. This was his 5th start at the rally, and he had never actually finished without Super Rally, so it wasn't looking so promising again on the 5th attempt on Thursday morning. And look, we did the first 3 obligatory runs on shakedown that we have to do. And we had a remote service very close to the end of the stage. And we were changing some things, obviously, because of the weather conditions. We had a completely dry test. So to come there and it being full wet, it was something that, let's say, we weren't really prepared for. So the decision was made to make another few changes and try them out on the 4th run. And by no means were we going any faster on the 4th run than we had been on the previous runs. But I think just we got caught out a little bit very close to the end on the inside, and the car snapped on Taka. And from this point, really, we were passengers. But thankfully, it was quite a soft roll. I think the video and the photos make it look a little bit more dramatic than it actually was. But I think the rain also helped this situation because the ground was so soft and soggy that it meant that there was no massive impacts. And for sure, we had a lot of cosmetic damage and a little bit of mechanical as well, but nothing that the guys couldn't fix, routinely in the service park. And thanks to them for doing it and getting us the car looking and performing as good as ever to start the rally that evening. So big congrats to them for this.
And talking of the car and the team, I believe there was upgrades for the Toyota car, the Yaris's, for this event. There was a new aero package and I think an improved engine performance.
Yeah, look, at the beginning of the year and all through the testing phase, the big point was reliability. And I think it's fair to say that the guys, in Japan and Finland definitely achieved that, because we've been running 4 cars in every event and no one has suffered any massive mechanical problems. So it's incredible to bring a new car into the new era of the sport and not have any major issues. So now, maybe with the faster rallies coming up in like Estonia this weekend and Finland and Belgium coming as well, the concentration now has switched to performance, and the rear wing for sure on these faster rallies will make a difference. And again, the engine as well, when you're coming out of the junctions and things in somewhere like Belgium, it's all about the acceleration and the top speed on events like this. So hopefully the upgrades that we have can help us to achieve results on these events as well.
And when you got then to, I suppose you get into Friday proper, the what do you call it? There was the 8 stages on the Friday. Morning loop was dry, the afternoon loop was wet, very unpredictable weather. Were you starting to notice or did you notice straight away the differences in the car, with the improvements, or is it a bit more subtle than that?
From a co-driving perspective, maybe not so much, but the car is very stable at high speeds and it gets there quickly. So it's nice when you're sitting on the rev limiter and places like this through the trees and the flat out corners, and you're leaning, using the aero to carry as much speed as possible. But for sure, I think the drivers have all unanimously agreed that the spoiler has made a big difference to the stability of the car. But from the co-driver seat, I think, it was always pretty fast for us guys.
Right, so not as obvious to yourself. I suppose your head's carried in the notes. Yeah.
We have enough to do.
Yeah, exactly. So into Saturday morning, and I suppose Formo was the target really for yourselves. You seem to be chasing them down, and do a bit of a battle there with Adrian.
Yeah, look, like you say, Friday we had a trouble-free day. Again, going back to the first point you mentioned there, Taka has never finished this rally, and he retired on Friday last year. And this year, the stages on Friday were the Saturday stages from last year. So Taka lacked that pass over them last year for the familiarity and obviously to, completely dial in the notes. So we took a steady approach as well after starting Shakedown the way we did. So moving into Saturday, the confidence was a little bit higher, and the weather was also improving. So, we tried as best we could to try to reel in Adrian, and we were chipping away at him and taking, a few seconds here and there. And on an event like this, it's quite difficult to take big gaps because, it's so fast and the margins are so small. So yeah, to finish then Saturday evening with, I think, maybe 10-second lead, 11-second lead, something like this over Adrian was nice. And it was a small buffer heading into Sunday. But Sunday, in relative terms, was quite a long day for the championship, because normally we finish at lunchtime after doing like 40 kilometers. But we had 80 to do on Sunday in Estonia, and it was essentially a full day again. So.
And fairly challenging weather on the Sunday from watching the coverage. There was unpredictable, very heavy rainstorms.
Yeah, the morning was quite okay. The first 3 stages of the loop were all good. Then we came back to service for the refuel and the remote regroup, and went back out to do the same loop again. And this is when the weather really started to change. The second last stage of the rally, there was some light showers, enough to affect the braking and things like this, but it was not critical. But then for the power stage, it was just horrendous. The rain was incredible, and at times when we were on the stage, it was very, very difficult even to see where the road was. It was coming that heavy. But look, a little bit depended on your road position also, with 4-minute gaps and 12 cars. It's over 30 minutes between the first and the last of the cars. So, generally a heavy shower like this does not last for this long. So unfortunately we were caught out a little bit, but again, it could have been worse for some of the cars ahead. And I think Taka coped really well in these conditions, actually, to manage the pace. And when we got to the finish, let's say, we had to check the board to see what Adrian's time was, and we were something like 40 seconds quicker. So it just proved that we had a good stage for the conditions that we had.
And you had a fairly good Sunday, or good run on the Sunday. You had 2 third fastest stage times, and you also picked up a point on the power stage as well.
Yeah, all the points help, and the power stage is getting more and more important as we're now over halfway in the championship. So yeah, Sunday was good, and there were stages again that Taka had did before. So this helps a lot when you have onboard footage from previous years of stages that are identical and being used again. It makes a massive difference, and just for the confidence and the feeling in the car. And this is a factor that helped us on the Sunday.
And would you spend a lot of time going through those old footage, or or the videos from the previous year?
Yeah, Taka will spend a lot of time pre-event going through the videos, and then when we arrive together, we always arrive maybe one day early so that we have a day together before we start the recce, and we will do some preparation like this. But the video work generally is more driver orientated, and then obviously after the recce, which we record as well, I will sit with Taka and go through the stages after the recce, and we can make some final amendments after this from the video. So video work is becoming more and more important, and also we can utilize the live onboard footage now from WRC Plus as well. So it's an important factor.
Yeah, good to have. And you finished the event, Estonia 5th overall. You're 5th overall in the WRC Championship. Feelings must be good going into next round in Finland.
Yeah, look, the feeling on Thursday night was not so good, but we composed ourselves again and built the confidence up. And yeah, coming into Finland now, it's let's say Taka's home rally, for want of a better word. But of course, we're also looking forward to Japan with Toyota. But yeah, Finland will be an event that we will be really trying to maximize our performance and push for the top results, and hopefully we can be in the fight for the podium. Let's see.
Kevin, it was great catching up with Aaron, and appreciate him making the time for us, because he had literally just arrived home having flown back from Estonia. So it was great to have the opportunity. And not only did we get a chance to catch up with Aaron, but we also got to speak with Josh McErlean to see how he got on in Estonia. Josh, lovely to have you along, especially after your very good result on Rally Estonia. Just prior to the event, you'd competed in Lithuania as a bit of a shakedown preparation for Estonia. What was that rally like?
Hey Connor, thanks for having us on. We done a rally pre-event test really in Lithuania the weekend before Estonia. So it was really to get us into the rhythm and feeling of the Baltic roads, as we have never really competed on such roads and fast flowing roads before. It was a great test. There was many services, so you could come back and review data on boards and refine the driving is what we were doing. So it was good to get the experience of these roads. The weather was actually changing a lot as well, so let's say in hindsight, it was a good thing. Looking forward to Rally Estonia.
Absolutely. I suppose we're used to seeing Estonia in glorious sunshine when it's been in the WRC previously, or been a possible event for the WRC. But this year, complete change. The weather was atrocious. There seemed to be, very mixed conditions. And on top of that, some quite technical stages this year as well. Would that be right?
Yeah, you could say that. I think that after the first day of recce, there was like a tornado near stage 4, which, yeah, you could see the aftermath of it. It was destroyed, the trees, and there was houses with roofs down. So it was quite a shock to, I think, everyone that was there to see what was going on. So I think it's threw a spanner in the works going into the weekend, and no one really knew what to expect from the roads because the conditions have never been like this before. So the ruts were in mind, and how the road would deteriorate and how it would progress throughout the weekend. So it left a bit of a question mark, but it was our first time there. So let's say it maybe helped us in a way.
There was a spectator stage then on the Thursday night, and then Friday the rally kicked off proper. And you had a fairly solid, good day, consistently setting top 5 stage times on the Friday.
Yeah, it was relatively good pace from the word go. We really done our own rally, done our own thing, and focused on ourselves from the start. We had some clear objectives going into the rally in terms of what we wanted from our driving and what we wanted to see from onboards, and going forward, it was progressing throughout. So going into Saturday, it was the position was quite strong in WRC2. I think junior we were 3rd overall, so yeah, it was about maintaining that there, but we still wanted to progress our driving and our pace. So yeah, we kept this up and it was going good.
And then obviously, changing levels of grip, the weather was playing a part, there was heavy showers, and then also on the second loop of the stages, quite big ruts from what we could see on the the WRC coverage.
WRC coverage, I would say, maybe shows half of it. Looking at it, because yeah, we have time before the stage to actually watch some WRC coverage to see what the stage could be like. But as you said, the weather kept on changing, and it was quite unpredictable to see. Like, you couldn't predict what you could do in terms of driving or car setup going into stages because the weather was changing that much. But yeah, the ruts on Friday evening and especially Saturday evening were quite crazy, and yeah, you had to think of the machinery as well and try to preserve it, because sometimes these rallies are about endurance as well as pace, but you have to be mechanical sympathetically, and that was one of our priorities going into the weekend was to get a finish, and I think we had to play the smart game in these conditions.
And on the Saturday in the first loop you had a small issue on stage 12, then on the second loop you had a puncture. Did that set you back badly?
It's like anything, you have to keep on going and pushing away. But okay, we had the issue and the puncture, but it didn't really drop us any positions in terms of overall. Okay, we could have been up a position in WRC2 junior and maybe overall in WRC2, but yeah, it was what it was, and we just had to keep on pushing on. And okay, the conditions were changing and a lot could still happen, so we just had to keep that mindset.
Then into Sunday, still quite a lengthy day by WRC standards. Normally they're quite short days on the final day. You were started the morning 4th overall in the category. Good solid run, and then along came the penultimate stage. Very slippy, very tricky conditions. Marco Balasia, who'd been leading the category, rolled on that stage. And then what happened to yourselves?
Yeah, let's say Sunday was a bit of a roller coaster. Our pace was continuing to get faster and faster, and I think we were 0.6 of a second a kilometre off the top pace of WRC2, which was, yeah, let's say it's our best so far, and to do it on these roads against ex-WRC drivers and Scandinavians was very good, consistently as well, which was the main point. But yeah, there was no service on Sunday either, so it was quite a long day in WRC terms and on a Sunday too. So it was, yeah, endurance was all part of it.
Yeah, and now what happened? How did the roll happen?
Yeah, so on the penultimate stage, the conditions were, it was quite bad. The rain was coming down, and the stage was actually drying by the time we got to it, but there were certain sections that were quite muddy in places, and okay, there was a corner with like a mud patch in between the actual apex of the corner and the finish, and yeah, we had a slide and tried to rotate the car, and it rotated the wrong way, and let's say we end up in the ditch with the back right wheel, and it put us on our roof. It wasn't ideal, as this was not part of the plan. So yeah, we had to get out because we were on our side, and there was 3 spectators there, and we managed to push the car over onto our wheels again, and wait on the next car to come through to drive behind it. Okay, the vision was far from good because it was raining and the screen was cracked and you could see hardly anything. So to get to the end of that stage, yeah, okay, it was a relief, but we were very disappointed in what had happened. And so yeah, it was about resetting after this and trying to get to the final stage.
Yeah, and obviously at that stage, because you were aware that Marco was out, you knew you were in, fighting for a podium or had a podium place. So what was the mood like in the car before the start of the final stage?
There was a regroup before the first stage, as always, and you can't touch the car in this zone. So we had a car with a windscreen that was not there, and we had goggles in the car. So the plan was to get out of regroup, try get the window out and put the goggles on and go into the last stage and see what we could do, because there was 27 seconds, I think we had the gap to fourth. And as we were driving out of regroup, the rain started to come down, and it was extreme, to be fair. We were getting soaked, and the goggles were even starting to steam up too. So going into the last stage, we had to get to the finish as well, but we knew there was a podium on the line here. So James done a fantastic job in the notes. I don't know how he done it, because the wind was coming in, the rain was coming in, the page was getting wet, and he still called notes. And we got to the end of the stage, and we actually only lost 11 seconds to the guy that was Saldivar, who was coming for us in third. So yeah, it was a huge relief, and it's a memory that'll last a long time, but one that I don't really want to repeat.
Yeah, don't blame you. And a lot of pressure on you. And I know, even again from watching the coverage, like the rain, was filling up the ruts in the road. Some of the drivers, the Rally 1 drivers, were struggling in those conditions. They were describing the roads in parts like ice, almost, where they were aquaplaning. So never mind having no windscreen, having the goggles on, it would have been tough anyway.
Yeah, it would have been tough anyway. I think the windscreen would have steamed up as well. So it was extremely tough. And to get to the end of the rally, the work that PCRS and the academy put in before the event to get us there and to work on our driving and to get the fine details right in terms of driving on these roads was an incredible effort. And before the last stage, you could say the whole thing didn't look so good, but we got to the end, we done the job, and we didn't make it easier for ourselves. But yeah, we got there, and we got a top 10 WRC2 and a WRC2 junior podium, which was always the goal for the weekend. And to exceed that there and to be consistent, be close on a good pace against locals and guys that's done this rally 3 times gives us good confidence going into Rally Finland.
Absolutely, and as you say, you got you got the third overall in the WRC2 Junior. That's your best result of the season, as far as I'm aware. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. To go into Estonia, we had to turn around our season some way, because up until now, we were getting okay results in WRC2 Junior, but we were going into Rally 2 in some situations, and this is not what we want to do. So there had to be a big turnaround going into Estonia, and I think we done that very well, and it's nice to come out the other end of it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Finland. It's the next round, August the 4th. What's the feelings as you prepare for that? Will you be in the car again? Will you have time to be in the car again? Or is it literally Estonia was part of the preparation for Finland?
Finland's in 3 weeks' time now. PCRS have a huge task of re-prepping the car before it. So there's no better men for the job. They're big machines. They keep on trucking away, and yeah, I think the car stripped at the moment, so it's all go. But yeah, there is a pre-event test plan for Finland with actually Andy McCormack and Paul Riley taking part as well. So it'll be good to have them guys over, and hopefully I can help them out in preparation for their event. So this is the plan. And going into Finland, it's different again from Estonia, but we now have the confidence on the fast roads and over jumps and stuff like this here. So we would like to leave off where we left off in Estonia. Less before the penultimate stage, but we've still a lot of things to improve in driving and that there. So yeah, that's the plan.
Lovely to hear from Aaron there and from Josh as well too. It's great that we have this talent, and they're giving us the opportunity to hear their stories as well. And continuing on with that theme, then Jon Armstrong and Will Creighton joins us now.
We're joined by William and Jon Armstrong, who have both recently competed on Rally Estonia in the Junior WRC Championship. Before we get to talk about Estonia, though, Will, I'm very interested in how you ended up with Marcus Gromholm in the co-driver's seat in Portugal.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. I didn't even know about it until right on the day. I was down just changing some things after the first pass of shakedown, and then I looked up and Marcus was there with the race suit on and with the helmet in his hand. And the guys, Seb, who organises the JWRC media, he sort of told me what was going on. And yeah, it was really cool. It was a thing put together by Wolf Lubricants, one of the JWRC sponsors. And got to go for a run on the shakedown with him in the co-driver seat. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
It must be quite nerve-wracking, though, having, Marcus Gromholm sitting in the passenger seat, critiquing you as such.
Yeah, I was quite nervous, but I think he was also pretty nervous too, because he was worried, that maybe I was going to try and, impress him. And in Portugal, it's quite a technical shakedown, and there's quite a lot of corners and they all look the same. So for only doing one pass, I think he didn't realize maybe that I didn't know where I was going, and then, we'd get caught out. So, yeah, he was definitely worried that I was going to try to do something to impress him. But yeah, it was good fun, and we chatted about different things and tried to get as much advice out of him, before the start of the rally. So it was definitely one that I'll not forget.
Did he have any words of wisdom for you?
I'd love to lie and say that he said everything was great, but yeah, no, he came up, he gave me a few bits of advice, and particularly with a rally like Portugal, how to try and not go flat out from the start, because you'll never make the finish. But yeah, maybe I didn't listen to his advice enough with all the punctures that we got. But yeah, as I said, it was really cool. So it was thanks to the guys there at the JWRC that made it happen.
Yeah, fantastic opportunity, and I can only imagine something you'll never forget in your career. Jon, just going to yourself. So going into Estonia, we're 1 point ahead in the JWRC Championship. What was the game plan for Rally Estonia?
The game plan was to try and aim and get a good result. Obviously, a podium would have been good, and we did manage that. And it's always important to get some stage win points as well. So, yeah, that was the goal. Although, even though we did achieve that, I still feel I could have got more out of the weekend. It didn't feel like I was in my best rhythm all the time, and definitely left a lot of seconds behind us. But yeah, overall, it's not too bad. We're still joint leaders at the moment, and with double points in Greece and all the stage win points as well. It's pretty much fully open, and I think whoever wins Greece will probably end up winning the championship. So yeah, it's going to be a big showdown. But yeah, Estonia was fun, and it's hard not to enjoy those roads. We had a great weekend, and yeah, it was just nice to be there. If nothing else, to be rallying that level is special, and especially we have great crack between me and William and Liam and Brian as well. So it's definitely probably days we'll remember fondly whenever we're a bit older. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And Will, yourself, what was the strategy for tackling Estonia?
Yeah, it was, I suppose, looking back on last year, our pace, we were quite far off the leaders, and I was a bit apprehensive going into the event again, would I be able to close that gap? But I suppose maybe on paper, the event this year, I don't think it really reflects, how Liam and I performed over the weekend in a way that, to come away, nearly 4 minutes off the leader's time is a bit frustrating. But, I think the step that we made from last year, even against Jon, was quite good. But obviously it's just, there's more improvements to make. But yeah, I sort of felt more comfortable on the more narrow roads, and especially whenever it got quite rutted, the likes on Friday evening, we weren't far off the pace. We were setting good times, and I would say for a majority of the stages, we were 10 to 15 seconds off the quickest time. And then just whenever it went out onto the wide road, I think that's where I probably struggled the most, and just trying to, calibrate yourself to know what is flat out and, you know, what sort of corners require a bit of a break. And yeah, I think that's just, you know, how specialist those events are. So yeah, it was, as Jon said, it was a really enjoyable event, really well organized. And, you know, when you're driving flat out over some of those jumps, it's hard not to enjoy it.
And a lot of issues there came into play. Obviously, the weather had turned just before the event. There was heavy rains, intermittent showers. The going got, you know, in places certainly seemed to be quite slippy and hard to get grip. And then obviously the ruts came into play as well. So quite challenging for you guys running where you are in the field.
Yeah, it was, I suppose, a complete contrast to last year. Last year was extremely good weather and really warm. And this year, you know, I think with the rain that they had before the event and during it, it made the road quite soft. And then when the new hybrid cars go over it, they seem just to destroy the road even worse than, you know, the previous specification of cars. So yeah, it was quite difficult in the second pass, and the ruts were really deep in places. So yeah, whenever the rain came, particularly on the power stage, it was pretty mad. It was glad to get through that one, but yeah, whenever the ruts started to fill with water, it was, yeah, the car just took a mind of its own. But yeah, it's, you know, trying to push yourself in those conditions is probably where you're going to learn the most. So at the same time, whilst we were sort of in no man's land, I didn't want to just drive, you know, to the finish. I wanted to try and keep pushing where I felt comfortable to try and, you know, make improvements if we get the opportunity to go back in the future.
Yeah. And Jon, for yourself, you know, as we said, you were going in there as championship leader and pretty much up against it in the sense that you had Robert, who was on home ground, he's Estonian, and then you had Sammy and Laurie, who are Finns. So, you know, pretty much home ground for them is very similar stages to what they'd be used to in Finland. How was that fight or that battle with the three guys?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, judging from Sweden, I was more than capable to beat Laurie Una. So yeah, I knew our pace wasn't so bad, but for sure I know that Sammy is very quick, and also Robert, and they are comfortable with the conditions, and they've got some, you know, good experience with the car as well. So yeah, I honestly didn't know how close we would be, or if we would be able to challenge for the victory or not. But yeah, in the end up, I think I struggled a little bit just with the car setup and everything. Yeah, it's one of those ones whenever you're not doing a pre-event test and you turn up and sometimes you get lucky and everything works, and sometimes you have to go and chase the setup a little bit then. So I felt like very much I was just chasing my tail the whole weekend. But in saying that, we did set some good times, and when things did work, we were able to be right there with the fastest stage times. And yeah, we got 3 fastest stage times over the weekend, which is great. But yeah, ultimately just struggled a bit for that last percent. And yeah, I felt like I was probably driving better than I did there last year, but the times maybe didn't reflect that, and the rhythm just wasn't the same, even though I was pushing more and carrying more speed in places. I think then maybe in some of the more technical corners where you need to position the car very quickly from one direction to another, I think I'm just struggling a little bit, to be honest, just with this car, to find the best way and to do it all the time. Sometimes I can do it, but it's trying to do it every stage. But yeah, I'm sure we'll go away now and then analyze the performance, see what I need to improve on. Hopefully by looking at split times we can see where I'm losing the time, and compare that to Portugal also, and try to figure out where I need to improve. And then we'll go to Greece and try to do better than we did. But yeah, Estonia is an amazing event. So many jumps and fast sections, but this year a lot of narrow sections as well, which was interesting. But I think that's what makes it a difficult challenge, because you do have stages that have a big variation in style of roads, and every stage is quite different from one another. So yeah, it's hard to be in the perfect rhythm for each stage. But yeah, it was a good event. The weather was tricky. Obviously we had rain all weekend, and that made some stages quite slippery and the conditions a bit unpredictable. But yeah, overall, I think we have to be happy with what we've done. And I know for sure I could have done better, but yeah, there's definitely, a few moments over the weekend where I had at least 10 seconds sitting stationary. So you add them up, it's probably 30 seconds. And then if I was able to be in a better rhythm all the time, there's another 30 seconds. So we would have been right there. So yeah, it's but that's the way rallying goes.
Yeah, certainly a bit of an analysis there for you, to see where you can tweak or get those extra seconds back coming into Greece. And Will, certainly John mentioned there was quite a technical rally, and looking at the footage in WRC.com, etc. Some of the forest stages, there didn't seem to be a lot of room for error. The trees seemed extremely close to the edge of the road, and obviously combine that with the the weather and then the ruts and the aquaplaning. It must have been quite tough in there at times.
Yeah, like John said there, there was quite a mix of conditions and, characteristics of the road, did change throughout the weekend. I think there the second stage of the rally, the first proper stage on Friday morning, was probably one of the most difficult, and it was extremely narrow and a lot of tree cover, so it was hard to pick the lines for the corner. Although the road may have been narrow, but the speed is still really high. So particularly then for the second pass of that, whenever the road is really rutted, it's it makes it quite difficult. But for me, I would say it's probably the most sort of physically demanding rally that I've done, in terms of probably because of the ruts. You're trying to hold on to the wheel that hard, and the car's sort of always taking a mind of its own, and you're always trying to correct it to stay in the line. So yeah, you get to some of the the end of some of the stages, and your forearms are burning. But and then combined obviously with all the jumps and things like that, it's pretty hard on your neck. But yeah, I think particularly for the co-driver, it's probably okay for the driver. They, they've got the steering wheel to brace themselves, and they know exactly what's coming, but not as easy for the co-driver. So fair play to those guys for keeping that up all weekend.
Yeah, it's certainly challenging with the between the ruts and the jumps in places. And so next round is of the junior championship, and the final round is Greece. So double points on offer plus stage wins. What's your game plan, Will, for Greece?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's nice to go to Greece. It's no one's been there before. It's a clean slate. To be honest, I haven't looked at too many of the stages yet, but that'll start pretty quickly after we've analysed Estonia. But yeah, it's, as I say, it's nice to go there with a clean slate. And from my point of view, I'll be going just to really try and enjoy the event, but go as quick as we can. It's the last event, so it would be nice to get a good result. And obviously the guys are going to be going flat out to try and win the championship. So yeah, it's purely going to drive as fast as we can and try and get a good result to round out the year.
And John, you're heading to Greece now. It's between the four of you, really, Sammy, Robert and Laurie and yourself as potential winners, particularly with the double points on offer. Greece, notoriously rough stages, big rocks, etc. What's your own strategy or plan for heading to Greece?
Yeah, it's obviously a very difficult strategy to pick, because, like you said, the stages will be very rough with lots of rocks, and I expect a lot of ruts and the surface to get quite bad. So yeah, I know from Portugal we tried to have a safe approach on the first day, and that didn't work out. So that obviously makes it even more difficult, because maybe it makes it easier because I know the safe approach didn't work. So maybe I just need to drive and throw everything at it. But for sure, we'll need to have an element of looking after the car and the tires, and we can't really afford to drop too much time. So yeah, we need to probably just go with our own rhythm and see where that is on the first stage and take it from there. But it's going to be a long rally, and the championship will be probably it won't be over until the final stage is finished. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but for sure the strategy is hard to pick, and we just got to do the best we can and prepare the best we can and try to get into a good rhythm, and hopefully we have a bit of luck too. I think that plays a big role. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, and genuinely wish both of you the best of luck for Greece. Just before we let you go, I'm going to mention the Down Rally. So, and the connection here, John, previous winner of the Down Rally, and Will, if I'm correct, you're going to be have the Fiesta Rally 3 out in the Down Rally.
Yeah, that's the plan. Home event for me, and it hasn't happened for a year or two because of COVID. So it's nice. It's nice to do any rally, and particularly, we're doing quite a few rallies, not in the country. So any opportunity you get to do it close to home, grab it with both hands. And Liam, he's doing the event as well. And so is my dad. So it's a proper team outing. So really looking forward to it, and hopefully we have a good day's crack.
Hopefully indeed, and fingers crossed the weather stays dry for that as well.
Yeah, it's funny. John sent me his onboards there from the year he won it, and I probably forgot how tricky those stages are. There's quite a lot to them, and particularly if the weather isn't great. So, it'll we'll need to focus in on it and take it seriously, obviously, and try and use it as a bit of training and a bit of practice. Although there's not any tarmac events left in the juniors, but there'll be plenty to work on with the recce and our pace notes, and try to make a few improvements so that we can have fun, but also learn something from the weekend.
Brilliant. Well, I look forward to seeing how you get on. So, John, William, thank you very much. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So great hearing from the lads there. Also, we'll continue on the strong Irish performance of the weekend. That's Josh Moffat, man. Him and Keith Moriarty wrapped up the national championship down the stone throwers. We keep saying that he's doing a Kelly Roving pair in Irish rallying this year. It's fantastic to see. Absolutely.
Listen, Josh and Keith chalked up another win. Again, seemed to be hassle-free, drama-free, just in the zone, and off they went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right from the first stage, once again, didn't look the most happiest at the end of the first stage, but it seems to be becoming a thing now. He comes off the end of the first stage not completely happy, but still sets fastest times, and then just it rolls from there. I think he was fastest on every stage and equal fastest in the last stage. Dominant performance, and I suppose he still has to drive maybe the safe side of flat out, because his court coming up now in a couple of weeks, and he doesn't want to become complacent. He still has to drive hard.
Absolutely, he has to keep himself under a certain amount of pressure to perform as such, and can't afford to back off and either risk losing one of the titles, or possibly having an off, or making a silly mistake because he's not as focused.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, great to see Gareth McHale back in the podium there, taking a strong second place. He was equal with Josh in the final stage. So good to see Gareth back on the big pace and back in the podium. I think David Guestin was third, but great to see as well too, out in Callum Devine's old Fiesta. So a good step up for David there. And then the two-wheel drive, then Chris Armstrong. Great to see Chris getting a good result. Chris seems to be one of those guys that always seems to be given everything. Good to see him getting the reward there at the weekend as well. And then in second, then was
Patrick McHugh.
Patrick McHugh, yeah, and the Escort, which is a brilliant result for him. And then Jason Black. Jason was lacking a wee bit of confidence there, I suppose, after coming back from he's off in the last round, and then he had trouble in the rally up in the north there, Loughgall. So he wanted a good clean run. He was trying out new brakes. There was a few things. So the confidence was definitely coming back. You could see every time you get interviewed there with Kelly and Andy, every stage it was just. And by the end, the sparkle was back in the eye, and he has the pace again. But it's great to see Jason back to his best again.
Absolutely, 12th overall and class win. So it was great to see things coming together for him again, and a nice clean run.
Yeah, and with Ed O'Callaghan's retirement too, it gives Jason strong points in the championship as well too, which it has to be for the good as well too. And also at the weekend then too, in the European Historic Championship, Marty McCormack and Barney Mitchell were out there representing the Irish, and they were in the MADS BMW M3, and they're enjoying great success in that European Championship so far. So I think we'll hear from the two boys and get their story on it. So, like, you're doing the rounds of the European Historic Championship this year. Started out I suppose for our listeners in Ireland, LIB 1800 as a car that I suppose holds a lot of special memories. Pretty special car, Marty.
Very, very special car, yeah. As I guess, as a child, I watched Roy rallying the car, and he was always somebody that my older brother Greg followed, watched what he'd done. Roy was a very capable driver, and it was always great to watch as well. And I guess with it being a BDA as well, it's always something Greg aspired to. And then the opportunity came up a number of years later for Greg to buy the car, albeit damaged. And over the course of a few years, he repaired the car and then started to use it himself. And then again, there was me still really as a teenager watching my older brother rally this car, and then to have the opportunity then to actually rally the same car as such, this really is there's a few new panels and bits and pieces, but it is the same shell as such. And it's always wasn't very. The thing I always noticed about LIB, it was a very, very great car changing direction. Whatever was about it, it was always one of them cars. It always had a slightly different feel, especially to my own red shell. And it was always a beautiful car to drive. And I guess with it sitting around, it really fitted into being easy to get FIA passported. So then we decided we'd do that at the start of this year, and then we've been using it at the start of this year for the FIA Historics, and it's been really, really good. Like it's a good old car. It's been lucky to us, and it's been good to us,
Yeah. And Barney, for you getting the opportunity to go out to these European historic events, it's something different.
Completely. Probably not the rallying end of it. Everything runs the same sort of format, etc. But the fact that you're getting to see a bit of the world along with going rallying is probably what it appeals to me with anyway. I suppose we started off with LIB. You're saying with it, like the first time I ever got to do a rally and it was in Australia. So I had never written notes before or nothing. This Egypt, I was sitting and decided to put this thing in a container and head her away, So that was the start of it. So she's the long distance car now. No, the European rounds are definitely just every time you do something, the surrounds are a bit different, the culture's a bit different, and I suppose the competition's quite good as well. No matter where you go, you'll always have a local specialist then, so you have somebody to always aim for and have a target for.
Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to you before for Rally Insight, and your whole ethos of going rallying was like, yes, you want it to be competitive, you just want to go in, but it was making memories. And you can almost sort of sense that coming from this year's plan of attack as such, as these type of events. These is the kind of events you're going to look back in a few years' time and just, I was there, kind of, rather, than going and doing your BRC or the Tarmac Championship or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. You'd be away there for a week. Nearly a week, away from Tuesday to Sunday. But you go out on Tuesday, you do your recce Wednesday and Thursday, by the time Friday morning, and then rally Friday, Saturday, back home Sunday. So it is fairly well compact, but you do get expect, like any rally. I always said when you went to these countries before, like we went to Canaries a couple of years ago. When we went there before, we were at the tourist locations. We just did the tourist thing, drinking and partying and carrying on. We went this year and we drove around the whole island doing recce's for rallies, and you really do get a sense of the real culture and the real be it Austria, where we're at, wherever, you do get into the places you would never ever be otherwise. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes that is pretty special as well. What do you think, Barnes?
My head's usually down most of the time, either writing or trying to shout something out at you. And it's usually warnings. It is. That's the sense of adventure is the big thing about it. I think when we grew up, rallying always had a thing of adventure. Every rally was unique in its own way, whereas now it's very sterilized at the top. Your 3 stages service, 3 stages crap. So I'm not trying to disrespect the boys at the top are doing a great job, but to watch it and probably to compete on it, I don't know, it's lost its appeal, whereas these events all have their own wee thing, and a lot of them are ex-WRC events that have sort of fallen out of favour with the calendar. So we're getting to do them, boys. We're living our dreams. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another very good thing as well. Like from the actual point of the motorsport and the stages and the driving of the stages, like you'll go to Spain and there'll be nothing but corners. Every stage has 1,000 corners or whatever. It's just notes and notes of corners. You'll go to the likes of Czech Republic and it'll be so fast and open, and then you'll go to the likes of Austria there last week, and it's just a mixture of everything. You go, one stage is fast and flowing, all is more technical, but generally, and that's the thing that you also touched on as well, Kevin. I'm really not sure about Barney's choice of wallpaper, because we talk about competition. There's a guy called Zippo. He's an Italian and a Quattro, and I tell you what, he was well trying to chase one of them boys and then World Rally cars. He's with this boy. I have my tongue out racing many as a person, but I tell you what, you've your tongue well out trying to catch that Quattro. I will say that there's a pretty deep field there, of high quality historic cars. There's 037 Lancias, there's Lancia Integrale Deltas, and you've got the Auto Quattro, and you've got Ford Sierras, you've got Opel Mantas, you know what I mean? And BMW M3s. You've got such this field of historic rallying. But as a guest in around Ireland and across England there, you're always getting escorts. When it's escorts. And we love escorts, like we've rallied one for years. But you go out there and there's some amazing cars to see and compete against. And I tell you what, if you're in the top 5, I tell you what, you are pushing hard. Because there's nobody who'll go out there in a historic car and tell me those guys are slouches, because they aren't. So it brings, there's a very, how would you say, holiday end of it, but there is a competitive end of it. But it's great because we go there, and me and Barney will be talking on the way out on Tuesday, and none of us have a clue about the rally. The recce, the stages, anything. We just go and do a 3-pass recce. You can still do a 3-pass recce as well, which I think is very beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go and do a 3-pass recce, write a pace notes, and go rally. Simple. It's very good.
There's no DVD. There's none of this.
No.
You go and you do your rally, and you forget about all that other sort of stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You do your work.
We never did that anyway.
What's that?
We never did that anyway.
Oh well, I think that's maybe why it sits us a bit better.
Barney, Marty talked about your choice of wallpaper. Hearing listing off them cars, like that's the kind of the posters. Our generation had up on their walls whenever we were growing up. It must be like boyhood dreams to be sitting on the start line and looking around and seeing, Lancia 037s, Integrales, all these cars sitting and like an Audi Quattros, and be competing against them.
Oh, it is. It's like, I think it's like you say, somebody just pulled them off the wall. They usually only see these things in slowly sideways or in museums or and shows that are just there to display. You might see in the Goodwood doing the Hill or something, I guess. Yeah. But like these guys have these cars and they have them. They've been working at them and they're no slouches. These cars are better than they were in the day. They are and you see this, you hear this sucking and the banging of that Audi Quattro off the start line. It'll bring a tear to your eye, man. It's just like watching a Group B rally video. Like it is like, you know what I mean? And the only thing is, it's not as fuzzy. But no, I have to say, and in 037s and all them cars, I've never seen them, rally
in person,
that way before. Like, we didn't. I'm too young, but to see them and be racing against them, it's fantastic. It is fantastic.
And Barney, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Marty touched on it there. These cars have moved on from they were originally rallied. A lot of new technology and theories have creeped into them. And reliability as well. So, the head gaskets, etc., turbos, things like that have all come on. Like, I'm telling you, boys, these lads aren't hanging about. Like, it's good. It's good crack. And hey, they're fair and honest. And the FIA keeps a tight rung on things that if it wasn't period correct, you're not getting away with it. So,
and I suppose it's no different from your historic BDA now. Like, it's not the same car as was Ari Vatman was driving back in the day. That's been developed that long. So much even in that last 30, 40 years as well, too.
That's correct.
It has. But, you're not going to take advantage of anything like a bigger manifold or something that's lightened or a bit of composite somewhere stuck in somewhere or a loom that's not right. Like they don't pick up on, when they're looking at the car. Like.
Mm-hmm. So, like, the escort, as you say, is not there's not 30 escorts lined up. It's all this variety of cars. But, as much as you love the LIB, last weekend you just got a change of car when you got the Mads BMW M3. What was the thinking behind that, or how did that come about?
2 words, Kevin. 2 words. Power steering. Power steering, I believe.
2 bonnet or roof vents.
2 roof vents as well. That's right. Yeah. I guess. Look, Greg's been out along with Ernie Graham at these events since the end of last year, and it was really then that we started making a bit of a plan to get out and start doing a few events. And then I guess really, the R5s are all gone. We've kept the old S2000. We'll probably keep it. And then we decided maybe it was time to have a go at something, a bit different, really. But unlike, the guys with the Audi Quattros or the guys with the old 37s and stuff, we didn't want to be going to that level. Plus, we didn't have the time to try and develop a car ourselves. That's not what we do. We drill holes in the ground, So it seemed to be that with the car that Matt's is building at the moment, we've seen Craig in it in actually around that sort of time that we decided we were going to go ahead. We've seen Craig in it in Killarney. It was very impressive, and we see the cars. We've seen what work he's done, bringing new technologies. New engine builders. They're pouring the new blocks. They're making all the new components the same as they are for an Escort now. So we've seen it as the natural transition on from an Escort, and it's the ultimate tarmac car. And we would say rear-wheel drive tarmac car. We would believe it to be, especially when you've got a guy like Matt's that's got everything there. If an item is not available anymore, well, he's getting it made. So we can just ring up Matt's and say we need this part for the car, and it's done. So I think that was a big draw towards the whole thing. But also, haven't seen the likes of Fisher and everybody driving the cars back in the day. It's also there's a step there as well that we always wanted to try one and have one. So. Yeah, so we've had a car ordered with Matt's, but due to everything going on at the moment, the car's been delayed a bit. So for this event, then we came to arrangement with Matt's, and that was actually the same car that Craig drove in Killarney last year. So that's why it was Matt's car. But we've got our fingers crossed, and we're hoping to have a BMW in the stead in a few weeks.
Excellent. And you mentioned there, Ernie and Greg, rallying is very much a whole family affair for you like to yourselves there. Last weekend, Greg was over, Ernie was over. I think it's not just the 2 US guys, a few mechanics. It's a whole family effort.
We're worse than the Hillbillies rolling on somewhere. These seats, we've landed the seats full of 405s.
Don't have to pay family.
That's the thing. And Caroline sat with James Potter in a Ford Cortina last weekend as well, and that's the second time she sat with James. They do the Carrick 1, and they're out there in that old Ford Cortina having a ball on it, And let me tell you, it's as far from a rally car as I ever drove. But here, that's the thing about it. You can roll up in anything, and as long as it's period, it's got the right bits on it, away you go. Yeah. And Ernie and Karen, they've been doing that. I think they've been doing that championship now for maybe 10 years or very close to it. Right. Ernie's been a long time out there, so it made sense. I'm only up the road from Brockshane. We know each other for a long time. That we'd all go together. So that's what happens. The whole thing goes as Team FlexiFly. So we do have some. It's very, very good. It's good fun, good time away for everybody, and. Barney tells not a bad joke, but should we try and get over that?
We're not a big lie.
So, Barney, we know how busy you are at work and all, but to take that time away,
I'm busy.
To be able to take that time away and go away with such a nice group of people, it must make rallying fun. It's not, it's not all about the stage times. It's all about we go back to this making memories thing again.
Let's be clear on one thing. I shouldn't be away. But let me tell you something. You hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, you'll be a long time dead," and all these things, and you hear a lot of new wise words. But a lot of people don't live by it. And look, these opportunities don't come around. so I'm taking it, and that's the way it is. And I work, when we do get home, I work my Saturdays, Sundays, late nights, everything to try and catch back up again. But there's no way I'm missing out on it, and it's a privilege to go and do it. And the people that we're rallying with are all brilliant people, and they don't get too upset if something doesn't go their way, or there's a bit of drama or something goes wrong with the car. Like, it's here, and we'll all chip in, and everybody tears away. And when we get to the end of the rally, funny, we said at the weekend, the 3 cars all finished. And, we've got a team award as well. And I think that to Ernie especially means as much as his own individual thing. So, it's family and friends, and that's it, making memories.
Yeah.
It's great.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
and here, I would just like to say that, Barney touched on it earlier, like, we went back, it was Rally Estonia in 2016, Barney, wasn't it? We went to 16, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rally Estonia 2016, like, and Barney hadn't, we co-drove in a few lanes rallies and stuff, and a few bits and pieces, years before, and he was doing my gravel notes at the time with our 5 car. So I decided it'd be good fun for us to go away and do this event. And I have to say, like, you look at Barney now, and like, he does a lot of navigating, a lot of good cars. And I was just thinking, I think I actually said, turn around to him at the weekend, and I says, you know what? You want a bad oil project, were you?
It's far from finished.
Work in progress.
All they do is good at calling notes now, it'll be all right.
Oh, here, I tell you what, but no, good, sharp, and on the ball, but here, good person to take with you, as you say, family and friends, and it makes, when you spend so much time together in a close environment, like, you can charter anything, like, and it's, who knows, we laugh about it, it is good crack, like, it is good crack, and that's what it's about.
If you're spending like 4 or 5 days with somebody, you have to be able to get on.
That's right.
It'll be no fun if you're stuck beside with somebody that you can just barely tolerate, or there's always an age to. You need that bit of banter and a bit of crack, and obviously you need to be serious whenever the boy says go at the same time.
Yeah. And that's very hard to get in a level navigator that Barney's at now, and it definitely is.
Thanks, Marty.
But he's a 2-time RAC winner, so
That's right.
You can't tell everybody that, maybe, but
hello, my name's Barney. I won the RAC twice.
That's the way you introduce yourself to me.
I think you can be
the slowest driver, you're going nowhere. So you still need the good lad behind the wheel as well. So it makes a difference. Like,
absolutely,
definitely does.
Yeah. So, you're looking forward to. You're talking about hopefully having an M3 at your disposal now for the rest of the year. Is it continuing with the historics and the European Championship?
That's the plan at the moment. Yes, definitely. We're looking at the rounds and what we can do. Look, as always, it's going to be work dependent. We didn't get away to Hungary, but we missed one of the rounds there just because of work commitments. So we'll have to just play it by ear and see exactly how many we do, because it's a fairly demanding championship. I think, was there Barney 9 rounds? Is there
9? There's 9 rounds on it, and I think September alone there's maybe 2 plus
one in August.
What's the last? And the last one's the first week of October as well. So it's pretty. That's pretty condensed now towards the end, So anybody looking to put stickers on when I'm away, give me a shout.
Anybody looking stickers put on when he's away, don't give him a shout.
And are they all tarmac rounds, or are they a mixture of tar and gravel? Or?
Well, we've got Laddie's on now in 4 weeks. I think Laddie, it's the Finnish historic round.
Right.
So that's the one. So all been well, we maybe get LIB back out of the garage for that one now, because obviously the M3 will not suit gravel. Yeah. But yet again, I'm juggling a lot of balls at the minute, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. We'd love to get there. We'd absolutely love to get there, but reality might have to hit home a bit.
Yeah, because I think, Barney, from my knowledge of it, they use a lot of the WRC stages next, so like that would be pretty special to be driving those stages in a BDA.
I'd be honest with you, I only start looking at the stages in the Tuesday afternoon. I'm not telling you any lies there. I have to ask the pilot where we're going. I think it's. I don't think it's on the actual old WRC stages, it's over slightly, 30 mile or something like that away. But it wouldn't be as, I don't think in general the boys say there's not as big a jumps on it, but it's still very, very fast, very flowing. So yeah, it's the Mecca of rallying, it's the home of rallying. So
yes,
we'd love to get to it. But as Marty says, hey, we dose of reality, we'll have to pay the bills too.
yes.
So see.
Yeah. And that, Marty, will start wrapping up. You talked about the M3 hopefully coming, as you mentioned, like Bertie Fisher, Ross McHale, even closer to home, Philip Shaw having the M3. Like those cars, the noise, they're probably only second to like the BDA. Must be fantastic to sit behind the wheel of one of them and be driving down a stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely fantastic. With the dog box and the bigger brakes, and I actually thought there wouldn't be as much traction with it as there is. I was surprised how much traction there was in the car. Very impressed with it. It is, especially, I guess it's only other wheel drive car I've ever rallied rather than a BDA Escort, So it was really kind of strange, driving a rear wheel drive car that was different to an Escort. But I have to say, really, really, really enjoyed it. It was one of them cars that you woke up in the morning and like, oh, I'm driving the BM today. That's it's like going to the woods in the BDA. It's like, let's go. So no, I have to say there was a good buzz on both with myself and Barney. And you're on about the noise there. Just tell Barney keep his door closed. It's right above
Oh, my ears are still ringing, man.
Oh, she's got the side exhaust, has she, Barney? Then.
Oh, I hear. I don't know what sort of headphones you need to drive down the road on.
Unreal. But I didn't know where we were driving from Scrutiny or somewhere, Marty, and I just turned around and I just pinched my arm. I said, this isn't real.
True.
It was. Yeah.
Well, lads, I think we'll wrap it up at that. So thank you very much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure as always chatting to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for asking us.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to hear from Marty and Barney. And Jesus, I would say the crack is 90 in that car.
Oh, you can imagine, the way they get on with each other is just so easy going. Like nothing seems to be a problem to them. They just, sure, whatever, get on with it. And it's such a lovely way. It's always a pleasure catching up with the two guys.
Absolutely. And we all know how witty Barney is on Twitter.
Yeah, just don't get in the wrong side of him. And talking about easygoing characters, head cases, nutters, whatever you want to call them, Frank Kelly, he's been telling us about his year so far, and he's took to Hungary. That's some story.
Well, for starters, when you talk about normality, there's no such thing as normal in rallying, especially my rallying. No, we've had a great year so far. We made a very conscious decision at the beginning of the year to stay at home till at least Donegal time. With rallying kicking off again, you sort of just want to get that wee bit of a buzz getting back to normal and put a wee bit of weight behind it. Not that it really needed it. The entries has been good for all the rallies and the quality of entries has been fantastic. So, but we made that very much that conscious decision to stay at home. We had a couple of good chances to go abroad and we just, postponed them and said, listen, maybe again sometime. But it started to snowball a wee bit that after Donegal, there was going to be a few good opportunities. So we started putting that plan in place and then started our year off on tarmac. Lauren wanted to do all the rallies with me this year. It's our first full season of rallying, you know what I mean? Because again, with the whole COVID crack, she didn't get, it was just sporadic. She wasn't getting doing much, and she's as a knee-high to a grasshopper when she was a youngster. She's always been going and watching me in this rallies, and it was nice for her to get a chance to experience them from the inside to see if it was as stupid from the inside as it was as looked from the outside. So we started off from that there, and as usual, me, I made a lot of changes to the car and started developing from scratch again. So the first couple of rallies this year were quite painful because you were sort of testing in public and way off the pace, but slowly but surely it got there together and we got into the best shape we could for Donegal and had a good rally in Donegal.
Yeah, because we know how competitive that the modifieds is this year, and especially this year, everyone has took that wee step forward. So to be able to set times and be up against these guys, it's out maybe not every weekend, but maybe at least maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. It takes a lot of doing to keep up with them, doesn't it?
It does, especially when you get to my age. The pace the pace is very fast in Irish rallying, as we all know, and in modified Irish rallying. But more so than that, the depth of quality has come on leaps and bounds. 10 years ago, you'd end up against 3 or 4 very, very quick men. Now you can talk about the teams have been up against 14 or 15 very quick men. And I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say that the modified entry in Donegal, any of the top 15 cars in the national could have won the national. I think, that would be an easily attainable thing for any of them to do that. No, not easy, but it'd be easy to say that anybody in the top 15 could have done it. So that's the big difference, is the depth of quality, not so much even the pace, it's the depth of it. And the quality of car and the quality of preparation. None of the lads now are just turning up, arriving and jumping in the car and hoping to go quick. They're all putting in a serious amount of testing and a serious amount of development, and even nutrition and training and all that kind of stuff, and even simulators. And I couldn't use a simulator to save my life, so I'm still relying old school. But we did put a lot of effort in, and it paid off. And I was over the moon to be anywhere near the pace and to be able to tell. I was very proud of myself for 3 days. As you know, 3 minutes in the car and I can make 3 major boo-boos, and to do 3 days and we didn't have an overshoot, a half spin or anything. It worked fierce well. We had a brake issue that we carried the whole weekend, which has been sort of plaguing me all year, but I've sort of worked out what that is. But it's just a change in material that was made in an item that I've been using for a lifetime, and all of a sudden has caused a problem. But it was able to be worked with. So no, very happy with our times and to be in the mark. And 7th in the national doesn't sound great, but we're a 3rd Mark II escort, and that sounds a lot better. And I'm very happy and very proud to be 3rd Mark II escort at this stage.
Yeah, because we look at the Darians and whatever. There's only so much an escort can do against the likes of a Darian.
Yeah.
And the guys in the Darian still have to drive them. They have to still put in all the work and all too. But it is obviously an obvious advantage there when it comes to good dry tarmac.
Yeah, traction and weight. I think weight is the big thing. Is they always say that shaving weight off a car is the cheapest horsepower you'll ever get. And I don't know exactly what the weights of a Darian is, but I know they're a fair bit lighter than an escort. So, and I think when you put into the mix. Specifically in Donegal, James Stafford and Kevin Gallagher are 2 massively talented drivers. So you get the right car and the right driver in it. Them cars go quick. For years we didn't worry too much about Darians because they didn't like bumpy roads, and Ireland's full of bumpy roads. But I think back then it was James Stafford proved that if you got the car right set up and with the advanced suspensions and bits and pieces and the skill of that driver, and then Kevin in later years. Them's 2 really, really quick men in a really good, well-sorted car. So they're going to make a good account of themselves no matter where they go. And as you've seen by the times, they were mixing up R5s in lots of different stages. So good lads, good drivers, and great to see them doing well. I have no problem with it.
No, absolutely. And as you say, and the competition between the Mark II guys as well too, it is bunkers. And then, you mix in the likes of Adrian Hillington, because I loved your post after Donegal, who hit nearly everything in Donegal, but still, one way or another, he managed to drag the car around after 3 days.
Me and Adam's great buddies, as you know, and he genuinely my hero in rallying, because Adrian has a never say die attitude, and probably one of the best sportsmen I've ever come up against.
Yeah.
He has got me to the finish of rallies before now. If he can't win, he wants you to win. And I did have a right. I was very disappointed when he went out on Friday, and it looked like he had done a fair bit of damage, and that was him out of the whole Donegal. But to see him, when I seen the pictures going up, I was going to message him and say, is there any chance he get back out again? I thought, geez, he's probably not going to be in good form. I'll leave him alone. But when I seen the Facebook post get up and her on the bench and a wing and hung on her and one thing and another, I thought, oh Jesus, here we go again. But fierce crack, hey, and it's always great to have Adrian in around you on a rally, so you get a bit of banter with him and a bit of slagging, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
And then we got to the finish of Donegal, so then we got into the foreign adventures. Then Hungary,
yeah,
it was a bit of an unusual calling. How did that come about?
That came about just back about February, March time. PC, as I call him, PACA. It turns out that's his nickname, and it stands for small or short or something. Which is, if you've seen the photographs of him, he's anything but. It's maybe 6.5 foot and built like a brick shithouse. But a real big gentleman's end, heart of a lion, heart of gold. But he got in touch with me, and he generally seemed to be the modified competitor liaison. Essentially, he rallies himself, has a lot out there, rallies away. But he was given the task of bringing somebody to do the rally, and for some reason he got as far around as me. And he just asked me, would you consider doing it? I says I would. I'm stupid enough and mad enough to do it. So we put a package together, what it was going to cost to get there, and bits and pieces, and they got a couple of sponsors on board, and he made it happen very quickly and with no fuss. And it was all confirmed from way back. And I don't think he really believed it was going to turn up until it actually turned up, because he messaged me, what way are you getting here, and how long it's going to take you, and you're driving, and it's like, that's 2,200 kilometers from Cherbourg to me, and he wanted photographs of me leaving the house, and I think it was more to believe that it was coming.
This is actually going to happen, lads.
The fact that it was coming. But no, it's great, and the hospitality and the welcome we got was unbelievable. And it's not a touristy area, especially, there's like 2.5 hours north of Budapest, and it'd be quite an industrial area. So there are virtually no English speakers, but we had luck. The hotel that they had us booked into, the manager, a guy called, well, I don't know what his exact name was, but we call him Greg. So he had lived in Cork for 4 years. So he had this real weird Cork accent, which I understood perfectly. But he looked after us fierce well as well. And PC has no English. It was all Google Translate. So they sort of dragged him into looking after us, and he came till the rally start with us and everything to get everything sorted out. And he had no real interest in rallying, but he kept us right and did all the translating for us. And it just turned out to be a whale of a time.
Brilliant. And the stages over there looked real good and all too. So it's
there were 3 good tarmac stages run 3 times, which is familiar to us for national round here. Very tricky, I have to say, and their normal temperatures this time of the year is high 20s, low 30s, but they had a heat wave, which we've got the tail end of now. So it was like 38, 39 degrees on the day of the rally, and they were actually concerned because they had issued a bulletin to all the competitors to carry at least, I think it was 2 liters of water in the car, that if you did hit trouble or were stranded, that you wouldn't dehydrate, that you would, you'd be safe enough. So it was unusual for them even, and twice as unusual for us. So it was very tough. And in fairness to PC, he warned me, the white asphalt that they have out there, like a light grey tarmac, gets really slippy in hot weather, and by Jesus, he was right. It was literally a wet day in Donegal, you'd have more grip. Very deceptive. I would out like a Clampett, with gravel tires in the back to do my bit, and it worked grand. But I knew fairly early on, if I keep this up, I'm not going to have much of an escort left by then. It's going to be in the scenery, and there was lots of people in the scenery, so the locals were struggling. So I thought, right, we need to be a wee bit smart here. So we put on proper tarmac tires, and she still slid about a lot. So there wasn't much in the way of grip anyway, but it was a bit safer. At least we knew you'd slowed for the big ones and stuff. And but the stages were nice. There was 2, first stage and third stage were about 6 or 7 kilometers long, and the middle one was about 13 kilometers long, and there was a bit of gravel in it. So no, nice stages, loads of people around, very enthusiastic spectators. We went off on the second stage on a notorious corner that Frank didn't know about, but just caught on a bit of gravel and onto a white asphalt road and just swapped ends into a shock, and it's all over a face tube. But luckily, the boys were standing there with a tow rope,
ready for you.
A dozen of them at the front of her and a dozen at the back of her, and they'd be out in less than a minute on the way on, and no damage. I closed the exhaust a bit, but no damage really done. So happy enough, and I thought myself, right, it's time to put tarmac tires in this show because I'm not going to get rid of this. So no, it felt like a marathon. By the time we got to the finish of it with the heat, and by the time we were over the finish ramp, it was sort of 8 o'clock that evening, and we were exhausted and roasted and hungry and everything. So it felt like a big operation to get it done, but very happy and very proud to get it done and to show a good account of ourselves. We weren't supposed to be timed. We were in the All-Stars category.
Right.
And because as usual, there's no way to categorize a Millington escort out there. So it turned out then that we were timed. And I didn't realise this. Me being an idiot and doing donuts around and about. So we were beat in the All-Stars category by 7 seconds or something. By one of the ladder men. But zero shits given. It was just a mighty weekend's crack. And I would go back in a heartbeat. Definitely go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and like, you know, ladders, a car is always very close to my heart. Like there was some about them over at that event over there. Like
I think like there was 130 entries, and I think 70 odd were ladders. And when you think about it, it's just basically their Mark II. You know, it is their Mark II, and they love them the way we love our Mark IIs. And I'm sure when people come here and look at the amount of Mark IIs we have and the kind of things we're doing to them, they look at us the way we look at the ladders and think, what are you frigging at, lads? But it's exactly the same thing. And here, listen, there's nothing wrong with a ladder, as you well know. And, there was some of them highly modified, you know, Honda engines and flow-mounted pedal boxes and sequentials and all the way down. Again, like our escorts getting down into the basic 1,500 and maybe 1,200 cc ones with bicycle tires on them and stuff, you know, really, really standard yokes just with the cage in. And all in between, you know, stuff with a set of 40s hung on it and bits and pieces like that. If you watch PCs in car, the ladder H pattern probably was a works gearbox in this day, has a real weird H pattern where first gears are way over where fifth would be. It's a really weird thing. I don't know how he manages, but
no, it's because the end car you put up on Facebook, like as you say, first over more or less for third or fifth would be, and then second's back for it should be.
Oh, it's a real weird thing. It makes a dog leg ZF and a Mark II look simple. But hey, them boys, as I've said before, they left nothing behind. They were pushing. The whole lot of them were pushing, and considering how well, especially, you know, some of the cars were unbelievably well turned out and fantastic paint jobs, but they were just firing them at the scenery left, right, and centre. You know, they were putting everything into it. There was nothing given or taken. They were going at it.
Yes.
And the quick lads are really quick. So it'd be interesting to get one of them over here, a couple of them over here sometime to see what way they would shake it out. And they probably look at us where our Mark IIs not ways in the head. Not ways in the head.
Yes. And then, you know, a wee bit closer to home, then down rally this weekend, a late entry in there, an event you look forward to?
It was, we hadn't planned because we have basically 1 a month now in Europe for the rest of the year. And we thought, right, we've done our bit up to Donegal and did 6 or 7 rallies, I think, this year. And I thought, right, we'll go back and do our European things. So down rally, when we came home and got the car home, and I've put her into a gravel spec now because Lithuania is to be the next one on gravel. And then we had a sort of a notion the other evening and thought, you know what, wait, Down's only up the road and it'll be handy enough and could shoot up there and do the rally and just make sure everything's right. So she's going there in gravel spec just for a day's crack. It's only up the road, and I thought, frig it, why not?
And classic stages as well, you know, your Hamilton's Folly and, you know, real good stages as well.
It should be good. I was talking to Barry Savage and he says that they're 4 good stages. So we'll see. There's been a few handlings with me doing rallies at home lately, and in the Tyrone stages I got into a drama and scrutineering for the noise of the car is too loud. So it turned out a bit of drama. We nearly didn't get doing that rally. So I have quietened her down a bit. Whether it's enough, I don't know. I haven't got a sound test, but she's a lot quieter than she was. So it takes the edge after a wee bit. But, you know, I'm fully prepared that if we get into Holland, we just load up and go home again. So we'll see. If we get doing the rally, great. If we don't, it's not the end of the world.
Yes.
I said funny. It was really funny. I didn't fall out with anybody. And it was all lighthearted. But I said, it's really funny. like, you know, the yoke can rally anywhere in the world, but you can't rally 20 minutes from my house. But rules are rules.
This is it.
Hairdryer doesn't make any noise, so when they get the hairdryers rallying, we'll not have to worry about that.
Yeah, we'll not have to worry about that, but at least they're worried. And then, as you say, then, you know, you have events lined up, you know, across Europe. Is there what kind of events are you doing? Is it a mixture of gravel, tar, a bit of everything?
It's nearly all the rest of them are tarmac. This Lithuanian one, it's actually, as of this morning, there's a wee bit of doubt in it, so I'm not sure if we're getting to do it or not. But if we haven't, we have a German one on tarmac for August lined up just in case. So it'll either be Germany or Lithuania then August, and then in August, September is the Escort Rally Special in Belgium, which I've done 3 times now, I think, and it's a fantastic rally. Any man out there with an Escort of any description, because it's Escorts only, should take a go at it sometime. It's relatively cheap to do, even with, they do a package with the ferry and the accommodation and the entry fee, and it's not going to be any dearer than doing a rally at home, to be fair, and it's a different part of the world and a great atmosphere. So we're doing that in September. Then October is Rally Legends in Italy, in San Marino, which should be good crack. And then in November is Portugal. They're having a version of Rally Legends, so it was agreed way last year to do it. So that, I think, ends up being 5 between Hungary, Germany, Belgium, Italy, and Portugal. And it'll all be cheaper than doing a rally at home.
Well, hard to argue with that then, really.
There's a method in my madness.
Well. So, Frank, thanks very much for taking the time to join us. It's been a pleasure as
Yeah,
always.
good to chat to you. Yeah, I watched your Krunching Gears. You're doing a mighty job. It's great to see it, the likes of it online there. So keep up the good work, boy.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Pleasure to catch up with Frank. You know, he is one of those legends of rallying. You know, he's as entertaining out of the car as he is in the car. So it's always a pleasure. This weekend then, Colin, closer to home, we have the Down Rally around the Northern Ireland Championship, and also around the Pro Tire British Tarmac Championship as well too. Fantastic lineup of cars there, Conor.
Absolutely great lineup of cars, and as William mentioned earlier, he'll have the Fiesta Rally 3 out. He's starting number 15 in the road, but great, yeah, with Johnny Greer, Stephen Wright, Donagh Kelly's out, Derek McGarty, Pater Herson, you know, Joseph McGonigal, and then throw in the UK guys as well, Stephen Woods, etc. You know, the Stephen Simpson that people be familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and like it's great to see a few different cars, a few different heads over as well. Just adds to the mix a wee bit, doesn't it? As much as anything else. Absolutely.
Listen, we've got the Polos, we've got the Citroen C3s, we've got the Fiestas. Great mix, and be hard to, you know, pick a winner out of that bunch as well. And it's a short, sharp, fast rally. Yeah, and you know that the 2 clubs that come together to organise that, I think they really get the whole ethos of behind that. You know, organising a good rally. It's run by competitors for competitors. You know, they're having a centralised service. You know, they're having it in the centre of Lisburn. It's bringing rallying to the people, which is fantastic to see. It is, and I know from previous years spectating on it, it's an easy rally to spectate on. It's an easy one to follow, and it's great. And there's some fantastic, well-known, famous stages there. Yeah, I think this year here that you know they're using Hamilton's Folly and Puck's Head. You know, 2 classic stages. You know, we remember them from yesteryear in the circuit and the Ulster and things like that. And you know, the other 2 stages are real good driving stages as well too. So you know, them guys is in for a treat this weekend. No, absolutely are, and I'm looking forward to it myself. Yep, absolutely, yeah. So we'll wrap it up at that there. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.